I finally get that smile as gorgeous as it is. I don't want it anymore. He just googled me. And even though my meeting is at 9, not 9:30, he seems to know more about it than I do. If we really are headed to the same meeting, it makes our chance meeting on the street seem.
NPRRMC 8:15 a.m. 18 August 26 orange rainfall warning South Habibi, Laguna, Quezon at Pampanga. Nagbaba taang manding pagulan, pagbahad pagabali ruta.
Oopsie. Okay. But I guess the odds of us both being in the same place at the same time aren't all that inconceivable, considering we were headed in the same direction to the same meeting and therefore witnessed the same accident. Jeremy steps aside and I exit the elevator. I open my mouth, preparing to speak, but he takes a few steps walking backward. See you in a few. I don't know him at all, nor do I know how he relates to the meeting I'm about to have, but even without being privy to any details of what's happening this morning, I can't help but like the guy. The man literally gave me the shirt off his back, so I doubt he has a vindictive nature. I smile before he rounds the corner. Alright, see you in a few. He returns the smile alright. I watch him until he makes a left and disappears. As soon as I'm out of his line of sight, I'm able to relax a little. This morning has just been a lot. Between the accident I witnessed and being in enclosed spaces with that confusing man, I'm feeling so strange. I press my palm against the wall and lean into it. What the hell? You're on time, Cory says. His voice startles me. I spin around and he's walking up to me from opposite hallway. He leans in and kisses me on the cheek. I stiffen. You're never on time. I would have been here sooner, but I shut up. I don't explain what prevented me from being early. He seems disinterested as he heads in the same direction as Jeremy. The actual meeting isn't until 9:30, but I figured you'd be late, so I told you 9. I paused, staring at the back of his head. What the hell, Corey? If he'd told me 9:30 rather than 9, I wouldn't have witnessed the accident across the street. I wouldn't have been subjected to a stranger's blood. You coming? Corey asked, pausing to look back at me. I bury my hair has irritation. I'm used to doing what that when it comes to him. We make to an empty conference room. Corey closes the door behind us and I take a seat at the conference table. He sits next to me at the head of the table, positioning himself so that he's staring at me. I try not to frown as I take in the sight of him after 4 hour months long hiatus. But he hasn't changed. Still very clean groomed, wearing a tie, glasses, a smile, always such a stark contrast to myself. You look terrible. I say it because he doesn't look terrible. He never does, and he knows it. You look refreshed and ravishing. He says it because I never look refreshed and ravishing. I always look tired and maybe even perpetually bored. I've heard of resting bitch face, but I relate more to resting bored face. How's your mother? She died last week. He wasn't expecting that. He leans back in his chair and stills his head. Why didn't you tell me? Why haven't you bothered asking until now? I shrugged. I'm still processing. My mother had been living with me for the past 9 months since she was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer, colon cancer. She passed away last Wednesday after 3 months upon hospice. It was difficult to leave the apartment in those last few months because she relied on me for everything, from drinking to eating to turning her food in her bed. When she took a turn for the worse, I wasn't able to leave her alone at all, which is why I didn't step foot outside of my apartment for weeks. Luckily, a Wi Fi connection and a credit card make it easy to live life completely indoors in Manhattan. Anything and everything a person could possibly need can be delivered. Funny how one of the most populated cities in the world can double as a paradise for agoraphobics. Agoraphobics. What is agoraphobics? UK Corey S. I mask my disquiet with a smile, even if his concern is only a formality. I'm fine. It helps that it was expected. I'm only saying what I think he wants to hear. I'm not sure how he'd react to the truth that I'm relieved she's gone. My mother only ever brought guilt into my life. Nothing less, nothing more. Just consistent guilt. Corey heads for the counter lined with breakfast pantries, bottles of water, and a coffee carafe. You hungry? Thirsty? Water's fine. He grabs two waters and hands one to me. Then she returns to his seat. Do you need any help with the wheel? I'm sure Edward can help. Edward is the lawyer at Corey's literary agency. It's a small agency, so a lot of the writers use Edward's expertise in other areas. Sadly, I won't be needing it. Corey tried to tell me when I signed the lease on my two-bedroom last year that I wouldn't be able to afford it, but my mother insisted she die with dignity in her own room, not in a nursing home, not in a hospital, not in a hospital bed in the middle of my efficiency apartment. She wanted her own bedroom with her own things. She promised what was left in her bank account after her death would help me catch up on on all the time off I had to take from my writing career. For the past year, I bleed off what little advance I had left over from my last publishing contract, but it's all gone now, and apparently so is my mother's money. It was one of the last things she confessed to me before she finally succumbed to the cancer. I would have cared for her regardless of her financial situation. She was my mother, but the fact that she felt she needed to lie to me in order for me to agree to take her improves how disconnected we were from one another. I take a sip of my water and then shake my head. I don't really need a lawyer. All she left was death. But thanks for the offer. Corey purses his lips. He knows my financial situation because, as my literary agent, he's the one who sends my royalty checks, which is why he's looking at me with pity now. You have a foreign royalty check coming soon, he says, as if I'm not aware of every penny coming in my direction for the next 6 months, as if I haven't already spent it. I know, I'll be fine. I don't I don't want to talk about my financial issues with Corey with an Corey shrugs a little unconvinced. He looks down and straightens up his tie. Hopefully this offer will be good for both of us, he says. I'm relieved the subject is changing. Why are we meeting in person with the publisher? You know, I prefer to do things over email. They requested this meeting yesterday, said they have a job they'd like to discuss with you, but they wouldn't give me any details over the phone. I thought you were working on getting another contract with my last publisher. Your books do okay, but not well enough to secure another contract without sacrificing some of your time. You have to agree to engage in social media, go on tour, build a fan base. Your sales alone aren't cutting in the current market. I was afraid of this. A contract renewal with my current publisher was all the financial hope I had left. The royalty checks from my previous books have dwindled along with my book sales. I've done a very little things this past year because of my commitment to my mother, so I have nothing to sell to a publisher. I have no idea what Phantom will offer or if it's even something you'd be interested in, Cory says. We have to sign a non disclosure agreement before they give us more details. The secrecy has me curious, though I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but there are a lot of possibilities. I have a good feeling we need this. Page 20 of Verity. He says, he says we because whatever the offer is, he gets 15% if I accept. It's the agent client standard. What isn't the agent client standard would be the 6 months we spent in a relationship and the 2 years of sex that followed our breakup. Our sexual relationship only lasted as long as it did because he wasn't serious about anything else and neither was I. It was convenient until it wasn't. But the reason our actual relationship was so short lived is because he was in love with another woman. Never mind that the other woman in our relationship was only me. Never mind that the other woman in our relationship was also me. It has to be confusing falling in love with the writer's word before you meet the actual writer. Some people find it difficult to separate a character from the individual who created them. Corey, surprisingly, is one of those people despite being a literary agent. He met and fell in love with the female protagonist of my first novel, open ended before he ever spoke to me. He assumed My character's personality was a close reflection of my own, when in fact I couldn't be more opposite from her. Corey was the only agent to respond to my query, and even the response took months to receive. His email was only a few sentences long, but enough to breathe like back into my dying hope. I read your manuscript, open ended, in a matter of hours. I believe in this book. If you're still looking for an agent, give me a call. His email came on a Thursday morning. Excuse me. His came on a Thursday morning. We were having in-depth phone conversation about a manuscript 2 hours later. By Friday afternoon, we had met for coffee and signed a contract. By Saturday night, we had fact 3 times. By Saturday night, we had fact 3 times. I'm sure our relationship broke a code of ethics somewhere, but I'm not sure that contributed to how short-lived it was. As soon as Corey figured out that I wasn't the person my character was based on, he realized we weren't compatible. I wasn't heroic, I wasn't simple, I was difficult. An emotionally challenging puzzle he wasn't up for solving. Which was fine. I wasn't in the mood to be solved. As difficult as it was being in a relationship with him, it is surprisingly easy being his client. It's why I chose not to switch agencies after our breakup, because he's been loyal and unbiased when it comes to my career. You look a little frazzled, Corey says, breaking me out of my thoughts. Are you nervous? I nod, hoping he'll accept my behavior as nerves, because I don't want to explain why I'm frazzled. It's been 2 hours since I left my apartment this morning, but it feels like more has happened in that 2 hours than in the entire rest of this year. I look down at my hands, my arms searching for traces of blood. It's no longer there, but I can still feel it, smell it. My hands haven't stopped shaking, so I keep hiding them under the table. Now that I'm here, I realize I probably shouldn't have come. I can't pass up a potential contract, though it's not like others are pouring in. And if I don't secure something soon, I'll have to get a day job. If I get a day job, it will barely leave me time to write, but at least I'll be able to pay my bills. Corey pulls a handkerchief out of his pocket and wipes sweat from his forehead. He only sweats when he's nervous. The fact that he's the fact that he's nervous is now making me even more nervous. Do we need a secret signal if we aren't interested in whatever the offer is? He asked. Let's listen to what they have to say, and then we can request to speak in private. Corey clicks his pen and straightens his chair as though he's cocking a gun for battle. Let me do the talking. I plan to anyway. He's charismatic and charming. I'll be hard pressed to find someone who could categorize me as either of those things. It's best if I just sit back and listen. What are you wearing? Corey is staring down at my shirt, perplexed just now, noticing that despite having spent the last 15 minutes with me. I looked down at my oversized shirt. For a moment, I forgot how ridiculous I look. I spilled coffee on my other shirt this morning and had to change. Whose shirt is that? I shrugged. Probably yours. It was in my closet. You left my house in that. There wasn't something else you couldn't have worn. It doesn't look high fashion. I'm being sarcastic, but he doesn't catch it. He makes a face no, it is supposed to. Such an ass, but he's good in bed, like most assholes. I'm actually relieved with the conference room door opens and a woman walks in. She followed almost comically by an older man walking so closely behind her. He bumps into the back of her when she stops. God damn it, Baron, I hear her mumble. I almost smile at the idea of goddamn Baron actually being his name. Jeremy enters last. He gives me a small nod that goes unnoticed by everyone else. The woman is dressed more appropriately than I am on my best day. With short black hair and lipstick so red, it's little jarring at 9:30 in the morning. She seems to be the one in charge as she reaches Corey's hand and then mine. While Goddamn Baron looks on, Amanda Thomas, she says, I'm an editor with Bantam Press. This is Baron Stephens, our lawyers, and Jeremy Crawford, our client. Jeremy and I shake hands, and he does a good job of pretending we didn't share an extremely bizarre morning. He quietly takes the seat across from me. I try not to look at him, but the he quietly takes the seat across from me. I try not to look at him, but it's the only place my eyes seem to want to travel. I have no idea why I'm more curious about him than I am about this meeting. Amanda pulls folders out of her briefcase and slides them in front of Corey and me. Thank you for the Thank you for meeting with us, she says. We don't want to waste your time, so I'll cut right to the chase. I'm our one of our authors is unable to fulfill a contract due to medical reasons, and we're in search of a writer with experience in the same genre who may be interested in completing the three remaining books in her series. I glance at Jeremy. I glance at Jeremy, but his stoic expressions doesn't hint at his role in this meeting. Who is the author? Corey asks. We're happy to go over the details and terms with you, but we do ask that you sign a non-disclosure agreement. We would like to keep our author's current situation out of the media. Of course, Cory says. I acquiesce, but I say nothing as we both look over the forms and then sign them. Cory slides them back to Amanda. Her name is Verity Crawford, she says. I'm sure you're familiar with her work. Cory stiffens as soon as they mention Verity's name. Of course, we're familiar with her work. Everyone is I hazard glance in Jeremy's direction. Is Verity his wife? They share a last name. He said downstairs that his wife is a writer. But why would he be in a meeting about her? A meeting she isn't even here for. We're family with the name. We're familiar. We're familiar with the name, Cory says, holding his cards close. Verity has a very successful series we would hate to see go unfinished, Amanda continues. Our goal is to bring a writer who is willing to step in, finish the series, complete the book tours, press releases, and whatever else is normally required of Verity. We plan to put a press release introducing the new co-writer while also preserving as much of Verity's privacy as possible. Book tours, press releases. Cory is looking at me now. He knows I'm not okay with that aspect. A lot of authors excel in reader interaction, but I'm so awkward. I'm afraid once my readers meet me in person, they'll swear off my books forever. I've only done one signing and I didn't sleep for the week leading up to it. I was so scared during the signing that it was hard for me to speak. The next day, I received an email from a reader who said I was stuck up bitch to her and she'd never read my books again. And that's why I stay at home and write. I think the idea of me is better than the reality of me. Corey says nothing as he opens the folder Amanda hands him. What is Mrs. Crawford's compensation for 3 novels? Goddamn it, Baron answers this question. The terms of Verity's contract will remain the same with her publisher and understandably won't be disclosed. All royalties will go to Verity, but my client Jeremy Crawford is willing to offer a flat payment of 75,000 for a book. My stomach leaps at the mention of that kind of payout. But as quickly as the excitement leaves my spirit, they sink again when I accept the enormity of it all. Going from being a novel writer to a co-author of a literary sensation is too much of a jump for me. I can already feel my anxiety sinking and just thinking about it. Corey leans forward, folding his arms over the table in front of me. I'm assuming the pay is negotiable. I try to catch Corey's attention. I want to let him know the negotiations aren't necessary. There's no way I'm accepting an offer to finish a series of books that feel too nervous to write. God damn it, Baron straightens up in his chair. With all his due respect, Verity Crawford has spent over a decade building her brand. A brand that wouldn't exist otherwise. The offer is for 3 books, 70,000 per book, which comes to a total of $225,000. Corey drops a pen on the table, leaning back in his chair, appearing to be unimpressed. What's the time frame for submission? We're already behind, so we're looking to have the first book submitted 6 months from the contract signing date. I can't stop staring at the red lipstick smeared across her teeth as she speaks. The timeline for the other two is for up for discussion. Ideally, we would like to see the contract completed within the next 24 months. I can sense Corey doing the math in his head. It makes me wonder if he's calculating to see what his cut could be or what my cut would be. Corey would get 15%, that almost $34,000 simply for representing me in this meeting as my agent. Half would go to taxes. That's just under 100,000 that would end up in my bank account. 50 grand per year. It's more than the double in advance I've received for my past novels, but it's enough to convince me to attach myself to such a successful stories. The conversation moves back and forth pointlessly as since I already know I'll be declining. When Amanda pulls the official contract, I clear my throat and speak up. I appreciate the offer. I say, I look directly at Jeremy so he'll know I'm being sincere. Really, I do. But if your plan is to bring in someone to become the new face of the series, I'm sure there are other authors who would be a much better fit. Jeremy says nothing, but he is looking at me with a lot more curiosity than he was before I spoke up. I stand up ready to leave. I'm disappointed in the outcome, but even more disappointed that my first day outside of my apartment has been a complete disaster in so many ways. I'm ready to go home and take a shower. I'd like a moment with my client, Corey says, standing quickly. Amanda nods, closing her briefcase as they both stand. We'll step out, she says. The terms are detailed in your folders. We have two other writers in mind if this doesn't seem like it would be a good fit for you. So try to let us know something by tomorrow afternoon at the latest. Jeremy is the only one still seated at this point. He hasn't said a single word this entire time. Amanda leans forward to shake my hand. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to help. Thank you, I say. Amanda and goddamn it, Baron walk out, but Jeremy continues to stare at me. Corey looks back and forth between us, waiting for Jeremy to exit. Instead, Jeremy leans forward, focusing on me. Could we possibly have a word in private? Jeremy asks me. He looks at Corey, but not for permission. It's more of a dismissal. Corey stares back at Jeremy, caught off guard by his brazen request. I can tell by the way Corey slowly turns his head and narrows his eyes that he wants me to decline. He's all but saying, can you believe this guy? What he doesn't realize is that I'm craving to be alone in this room with Jeremy. I want them all out of this room, especially Corey, because I suddenly have so many more questions for Jeremy about his wife, about why they reach out to me, about why she's no longer able to finish her own series. It's fine, I say to Corey. The vein in his forehead protrudes as he attempts to hide his irritation. His jaw hardens, but he yields and eventually exits the conference room. It's just Jeremy and me again, counting the elevator. This is the third time we've been alone in a room together since we crossed paths this morning. But this is the first time I've felt this much nervous energy. I'm sure it's all mine. Jeremy somehow looked so calm as he did while he was helping me clean pieces of pedestrian of myself less than an hour ago. Jeremy leans back in his chair, dragging his hand down his face. Jesus, he matters. Are meetings with publishers always this stiff? I laugh quietly. I wouldn't know. I usually do this over email. I can see why. He stands and grabs a bottle of water. Maybe it's because I'm sitting now. He's so tall, but I don't remember feeling this small in his presence earlier. Knowing he's married to Verity Crawford makes me feel intimidated. intimidated by him even more than when I was standing in front of him in my skirt and bra. He remains standing as he leans against the counter, crossing his legs in the ankles. You okay? You didn't really have much time to adjust to what happened across the street before walking into this. Neither did you. I'm alright. There's that word again. I'm sure you have questions. Atan, I admit. What do you want to know? Why can't your wife finish the series? She was in a car accident, he says. His response is mechanical, as if he's forcing himself to detach from any emotion right now. I'm sorry, I hadn't heard. I shift in my seat, not knowing what else to say. I wasn't on board with the idea of someone else finishing out her contract at first. I had hoped she would fully recover, but he pauses. Here we are. His demeanor makes sense to me now. He seemed a little reserved and quiet, but now I realize all the quiet parts of him are just grief, palpable grief. I'm not sure if it's because of what happened to his wife or what he told me in the bathroom earlier that his daughter passed away several months ago. But this man is obviously out of his element here as he's challenged with something decisions heavier than anything most people would ever have faced. I'm so sorry. He nods, but he offers another further. He offers nothing further. He returns to his seat, which makes me wonder if he thinks I'm still